as an example of how to ask for what you need. So please, yeah, it's a good thing. So let's get on with the day, So we have this wonderful year with our theme is Dive and Thrive, and the theme for the month is Dive and Thrive as well. And so the topic of today is our philosophy and way of life. Because what we do at the beginning of the year traditionally is we kind of look back over the 4 core principles of what we teach here. It's a way of reminding us of who we are, where we stand. And for anybody that's new, if they don't know what it is, we bring it forward and you can, get on board with what we teach. So I spoke about Reverend Karen. Last week, I heard her message. And, I was just going to put her up on the screen because she did such an incredible job about speaking to what we teach. Because before we get into the principles, let's just speak about a little bit about who we are. What is Science of Mind and why are we doing this here as opposed to anywhere else? And so I spoke with her. I told her my intention and she said, just use whatever you want. So I'm going to. Sometimes we don't have to reinvent the wheel because honestly, we're all teaching the same thing all of the time. And when somebody does it well, let's go with it. So she started off by saying this. Oh yeah, I've got to get her humor in here first. You see how easy it is for me to get distracted, but we can bring it right back. So part of our teaching is to really claim what it is we desire. Who we are and how we want to walk in the world. So this little story is about 3 empires. 3 empires that are sitting around just chatting about how well they do their jobs when they call balls and strikes. Then anybody that has ever been an empire, it's really important to know what you're doing because it makes a difference to the whole game, right? So the first empire says, he goes, I call the balls and strikes as I see them. And they thought about that. And then the second empire said, I call the balls and strikes as they are. The third empire got up and he said, they are nothing until I call them. That is it, folks. That's exactly our lives. It is nothing until we call it. Isn't that divine? I think it's wonderful. So anyway, let's get back to Science of Mind and Centers for Spiritual Living. We are not a traditional church. If you have ever been to a traditional church and you are sitting here right now, you know that fact already. We're not a traditional church. We handle things a little differently. We teach things a little differently. We come from the New Thought movement. So we can just lean back into knowing that we're good. We can be different and we can still have a very, very spiritual life. We are not called by guilt or damnation, but to live our highest and best spiritual life. Doesn't that feel good? Because can you imagine if we were here because we had to be, otherwise we were going to hell. We don't have a hell, thank goodness. We fully appreciate and enfold into our teaching science, philosophy, and all religions. We enfold them all, we honor it all, but we are not Christian Science. We are not Scientology. We're not a cult. Anybody ever heard that one? Is that a cult you're going to? We are not a cult. This is why we're not a cult. A cult is designed to take power away and assert control over the people. Have a look around. What do you think? Anybody? Taking the power away? Control? Anybody knows we call it herding cats. There's no comparison. There's no control. So no, This is not a cult. Our teaching does not want to control what you think, but offers guidelines about how to think to become a greater magnet for good. We do not believe that we're the only way, for there's so many ways to connect with the divine. We do not believe that we need to go through an intermediary to have our connection with the divine, for we know that the divine lives within. Our philosophy is not based on the revelation of one person, but on the truth that flows through all faith traditions. We do not worship Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, but his work and the point of view that he shared is something that we honor and share with others. You know, Dr. Ernest Holmes was raised in a Christian faith, but he was called as a scholar, because he was an awful student. He was called as a scholar to seek that thread of truth that goes through all religions, all philosophy, all science, and eventually synthesized it all into something that we can understand. Has anybody ever read the book? We try and understand. We will eventually get there through time and reading over and over again. But he synthesized it all. And the most important thing that he shared with us is to stay open at the top so that we can continue to change and grow as the world and the universe shifts around us. That even though the core principles, the core basis of everything is open for expansion, always, for that is the law of the universe, that we continue, because as we are in it, so we are of the universe. We are bound by those same laws. This is the one I really enjoyed. We do not have a traditional hierarchy here at Centers for Spiritual Living or Science of Mind, but we do have ministers that have studied the teachings and are called to lead communities as they grow in it. Our ministers are just everyday folks, just like you, who are forever on their own path of discovery and growth. So please, do not put us on a pedestal or idolize us, for that is not the calling. However, feel free to love on us, pamper us, take us to lunch, make sure we take care and rest and vacation. Look after us. It's important. And this is also very important. We do not believe for 1 second that we were born with original sin. Nope. We were born with original blessing. We are spirit made manifest, and this teaching is a call to re-know that truth for ourselves. This is the statement that I call my elevator statement, when somebody says to me, so what is science of mind? We are a faith-based philosophy that teaches we are all one, united in a creative love and intelligence, and that we are empowered through our thoughts and beliefs to co-create our personal experience and way of life. I think that about says it all. That's who we are. That's who Science of Mind is. And that is why we are all here. For we are finding a way within this teaching, to grow and expand and to be even the greater expressions of ourselves that we can possibly be. All right. Thank you, Reverend Karen Ironhouse, for all of your lovely guidance and all of that wonderful thing that you said. She was hysterical, I got to tell you. For some of the words, she has this beautiful German accent, and some of those words don't roll off her tongue very, very well. And we did have a wonderful time laughing near her. It was really good. So, getting back to the core concepts of Science of Mind. There are 4 of them. You will find them in our textbook, in the introduction. Not even in the first chapter, folks. In the introduction, Dr. Holmes was very succinct. No, he was not. I remember the first time I picked up that book and tried to read it. I read the first piece and put it down for 13 years. But I tell you something, that as you tend to read it more and more, it's actually very, very simple. We make it complicated because we want to get into all the words and the verbiage. If we just go to the basis of it all, it's very, very simple. And I know that some of the students that are coming into foundations class are going to find that out. And some of those that have already been, and I'm not going to point any of you out, have taken to read in the book. Dr. Edward Fullion put in the book a schedule of reading, that if you read and checked it off each single day, you will read the whole book in a year. But what was so interesting about the way he did it, it made more sense than the original way. I love you, Dr. Holmes, but still, it made Dr. Edward Fullion actually made it all relevant so that you could follow along more easily, grasp it a little piece at a time. Because, we get stuck. We start to go too far, and then suddenly you're like, whoa, let me go back and read that again. And now nothing makes sense. So that is definitely an invitation to do. But what we start with is, as we start with the what we believe statement, we have this thing. These are the 4 concepts. The thing itself. The thing itself. The second one is what it does. The third concept is how it works. And the fourth concept is how can we use it. We are not going through all 4 of those concepts today, I promise. We have time to look at them and grow through them, for they are heavy in their wonderment. But let's start with the first core concept, the thing itself. In the what we believe statement, we read, we believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. It is not absorbed by its creation. It is infinite. It is limitless. It cannot be absorbed, but it is truly just creation. We call it God, Spirit, universe. It absolutely makes no difference what you want to call it, because it is actually that which is unnameable. It is unnameable. In many of the religions, you will see that it is called something different, but it is always referred to as that which cannot be named. And there's a reason for what we cannot name it. First of all, it is a concept that is so great and large that it's difficult for us to even think about and explain. Yes, we can call it universe. That is the greatest limitless thing that we can understand right now. But the reason it is not named is because the minute we name it or put a label on it, we are limiting it. We are limiting it to a box that we are putting it in, for that is how we name things. We name it, we know exactly what it is, exactly how it is, the size, the shape. Even the ocean. We know that the ocean is vast, but the minute we know and name it, we know the limits of it. We know where it is, how it does, what it is. This is not nameable, for it is a limitless energy, we can call it. We call it an intelligence. We call it intelligence, for we see through its creation that the intelligence is there. My favorite thing is, why does moss grow on the north side of the tree in the northern hemisphere, and on the south side of the tree in the southern hemisphere? Because if it grew on the other side, it would burn up. That is this creative intelligence. Every single thing created is created for a purpose. It is created as an individualization of this intelligence, be it a plant, be it a person, an animal, a planet. It doesn't matter what it is. It is created for its purpose. There are no 2 things that are alike. This is the thing itself. It is creation. It creates from itself and creates wonderfully through us too. Through everything, every plant, every animal, every human creates as the Creator, this creation, this intelligence has created. That is the thing itself. I would like to say any questions, but you know what? You're going to have to come to class for that one. It starts, by the way, the first Thursday in February. Just a little pump up there for a second. But this is the thing. We can talk about it all and over and over and over again. But this idea is that as each idea we have of it expands, so we are actually the tools for its own expansion. It is working through us to expand itself. Now, that is a wonderful concept. That is a brilliant concept to understand that we are here for not just the joy of the divine, for we are here to live this greatest life possible, for the divine can only have its expression through something. It can only have its joy and its beauty and its wisdom and its love through something. So whether it's that beautiful plant out there that expresses with this incredible perfume, or whether it is one of us, Dennis, for instance, doing this beautiful music, it is God's joy. It is God's bliss. It's God having its way through us. Even when we're silly, even more so when we're silly. I mean, let's look at a giraffe. You know, God has a sense of humor. Although we do know giraffes at all, for they have a reason to eat up high because it keeps everything nice and trim. But still, we always think of it, oh, I'll build a horse with a lovely tall neck and have some fun. This is what we know. But these are the truths. But not only are we here for this joy of the divine and therefore called to live our best life. Struggle, not fun. Why do we get stuck in the struggle? But the struggle is creative. And in that pace of creativity, we are tools of expansion for the divine. Every time we come up with a new idea, boom, it drops down, there's space for more. Every time that wave collapses in, there's space for more. And it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. It grows in potential, it grows in strength, it grows in capability. Every time, have you seen a dancer 20, 30 years ago compared to a dancer now? That's the expansion of the divine. Man, I can't do the stuff they're doing now, but when I was at the top of my game. I look at what they do and I'm like, ooh, boy, don't want to do that to my body. But here's the thing. It is just the expansion. And as we expand in our individuality and our individual expression, so the whole, that intelligence is expanding too. So give yourselves a round of applause for being the best expression of the divine and knowing that your work is important. Your joy is important. This is what life is about. This is how we interact with the thing itself. And we don't need any other person to be in between us and our divine. No. And I will address, as we spoke earlier this morning, about Jesus of Nazareth, that people see Jesus as the way to God. We don't see that so much in Science of Mind, but we do see this. Jesus' way is the way to God. He was the greatest example, not the exception. Greater things than I will you do. Yes, you know why? Because he was only one expression of the divine, and you are, and you are, and you are, and you are, all these individual expressions, and only you can do what you do, and only God can do through you as you are. This is the bliss. This is the joy. This is why we can get up in the morning and go, yeah, I'm going to take on this day, because you know why? God needs me. Did I just do that? Oh, I love getting excited about that. But this is the truth. This is who we are. And this is why we do our classes. The fact that you are here already, sitting here, means that there is something that called you to hear something a little different. Maybe there's a desire to have a different expression in your life or to shift things that are not working for you, and you can do that here. But if you truly want to have a different experience, this is not enough. You need to dive deeper into the teaching. Because in the teaching are the tools. We don't tell you what to do. We give you the tools that you can use if you choose. There are tools in the teaching. So you get to dive, and what happens? You will thrive. You can't help it. It's just the way that it works. And we'll go more into that as we move through this coming month on how all these different things work and why they work. But just remember, if you do want to have more, if you really do want to change, come and join me. We've got a nice group of people going already. Come and join me so that you can deepen into that. Because those tools, when you have them, you will never not have them. But guess what? Like anything, if you don't use them, they're of no use to you whatsoever. So we do call Science of Mind and Center for Spiritual Living the Church of Accountability, the Church of Personal Responsibility and Accountability, because only you get to do it. Because my experience and your experience is very different, and how we navigate with the tools will be completely different. Same tool, different person. So just know that. And know fully that you are where you are, for you need to be here. Your own personal thing, your own personal intelligence is drawing you to be a magnet for good, for you. Because when you do it, you can't help but share it. And that's where we grow God. So, in closing, my goodness, I didn't even get through anything. I've got so much to share. Just like Stephen, he only got through 2 of his 5 quotes when he did his creative thought last time. We know it. There's always more. It's so exciting. When you get into it, you want to go, but I want to share it all right here, right now. No, you got to come back. Here's the carrot. All right. So in closing, from Dr. Ernest Holmes, this is from one of his books called Creative Thoughts. Infinite intelligence guides me. God is all there is, and in every action and reaction, in every circumstance and situation, whether we call it big or little, there is one power governing, and only one. Science, logic, mathematics, reason, and revelation are on the side of the one who proclaims this oneness of God. Feeling and thinking and sensing this wholeness, we enter into conscious communion with it. And in some subtle way, which we do not understand, its essence flows out into our act, spilling itself in and through everything we do, bringing to bear upon the simplest problem of life an intelligence greater than the human and a power that is transcendent. So we can say, today, I have affirmed the supremacy of good, and everything within me responds to it and announces its presence. A power greater than I am flows through me into everything I do or think about, automatically making everything whole. And so it is. All right. Let's take this to prayer. So we just lean into this moment here and right now, recognizing and knowing the power and presence of the divine, recognizing and knowing that this creative intelligence is the only activity, that it is having its way in, through, and as each and every one of us. And as we open our hearts and minds even further, that there is a greater expansion of this going on for us, in us, and through us. And so I know for each one of us as we walk our path this week, that we walk it with this beautiful buoyancy of life in us, knowing that we are the joy of this magnificence. We are these expressions of expansion and growth and wonderment that is the divine in action. And I know that it is good. I know for each one of us that we can lean in, and even when the days get long and hard and struggle, that we can say, I can be creative. My thought of something new is creating a different experience. So it is all good. So I know that this is the truth for us. And as Spirit has already said yes, I know that we can claim this together by saying, and so it is. Thank you.